What is up, guys? We are back with another ball card banter. I think this is number 10. Here with my buddy Shane, Shoebox Legends, who is really tough to nail down. I think he's like head of the FBI now or something. So it's like there's no time for anything. But luckily, he carved out an hour for us to do this tonight before he traipses off again to another city. He travels all the time now. But hey, we're
Yeah,
here. We're
apologies.
back.
We would definitely be on number 11 or even 12 if it wasn't for my schedule. So definitely
Yeah,
appreciate your patience.
Yeah, I think we're on a every other month schedule now, which is totally fine. Just as long as we can do it because it's kind of the one fun thing we can get together and do when everything else is hectic and chaotic and all that kind of stuff. But this
Absolutely.
this time, of course, we'll have our random cards, appreciating our collection cards at the end of the episode. We'll have a little bit of trivia in the middle, but instead of showing cards in the first segment, we are going to do a 5 questions for the other guy, and we don't know what the other one's going to ask. So it's just 5 random questions, and we're going to just answer them to the best of our ability and have fun with that. And then we'll do the other stuff after that. But first, we like to do a couple shout outs for some channels, smaller channels sometimes, like, you know, sometimes they've been around a little while. I'm going to do Lynn and his wife over at L&S Baseball Adventures.
Love it.
Guy collects with his wife. He's been a long time commenter, so I've known him forever. Super awesome, positive guy. Love the guy. They do love Nolan Ryan and stuff, but they collect different things. But when you look at the channel, it's L and like an ampersand S Baseball Adventures. But if you see the at, it's at LNS Baseball Adventurers. So the title and the name are a little bit different. So I'll have a link, in the description for anybody we shout out, down there. But longtime commenter, he's a great dude. Last I looked, he had 79 subscribers and 18 videos. Been going for a few months. But super great guy. I'm glad he started the channel. Super cool to see him on there and his wife. And it's so cool to have like a tandem crew like that you normally don't see that actually enjoy collecting together. So go check them out.
I don't know if I think I'm thinking of the right channel, but did they do in the early days of their channel like ballpark tours and like sightseeing kind of
I think
videos?
they did some of that.
Yeah,
Yep. And they might
yeah.
still, they might continue to do that. But he shows some cards and some memorabilia and stuff like that. But just a super nice guy. Really cool that they collect together. You've seen, a lot of solo guys. You see some people like, me and Taylor, or, some other guys that do a lot of stuff, like every video is with their kids and stuff. But it's rare that you see a husband and wife collect together. And, so
Agreed.
it's kind of cool and good people to boot. So check them out.
Yeah, more often you hear my spouse puts up with my hobby.
Yeah, more
So
often than not, it's yeah, they just put up with it, but kind of cool.
So my shout out, this is a newer channel. I'm going to shout out Matt, and his channel name is A Most Adequate Collection. He started maybe 2 months ago now, 3 months ago. I think he's got about a half dozen videos up, but great collector. I enjoy his content. Really varied. He's mixed in a little bit of hockey, a lot of baseball, and you can tell even from his early videos that even though he's newer to YouTube, he's somebody who's been in the hobby and passionate about sports for quite a long time. He's referenced dates as far back as the early 2010s and even further. So new to YouTube, but I think somebody who's been in the hobby for a while and has a lot to share, and highly recommend his content. So Matt over at A Most Adequate Collection. Great channel name too.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think I just saw a newer video just pop up in my feed. So yes, definitely subbed to him. So everybody else go sub to him too. Just show these guys some love. Give them a comment. So that is the shout outs for the day. Now we will get into the questions for each other. First one's a little bit of a tough one. You have multiple hobbies. Would you give up baseball cards or music first?
Oh man,
If it
that's
was
a
if it
tough
was
one.
if it was the rest of your life, like you literally couldn't go back.
Man,
This
I'm
is
gonna get killed for this probably, but I gotta answer it honestly. You got me with a good one right out of the gate. But if I had to choose, gun to my head, I think I'd have to give up baseball cards, as hard as that would be, just because they're really like 1A and 1B. They're kind of the two things I've done ever since early childhood. But to me, as much as I love collecting, there is like nothing that beats like a live concert of a band or group that you're really into, like outdoors on a summer night. Like I don't think I could give that up. So it would be brutal, and I think I'd be depressed for a while afterwards. But I would reluctantly have to probably give up baseball cards, but I hope I'm never
Hey,
presented with that hypothetical choice in real
yeah,
life.
it shouldn't really happen, but if it did, okay, you're taking music. All right. I was super curious what you were going to say, but I thought you might actually say that. But I mean, of course, I love live baseball games and all that. I'm getting to go to the WBC, which I'm stoked about. I cannot wait to go to that game with Brazil and the USA in March. That's going to be super fun. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
music. I know you love doing it live. I know you love everything about music. It's not so much the collecting side, even though you have some collectibles from that. So
Right.
baseball is more of the collecting side, and you'd have to give all that up and
Yeah,
just
that's. I guess that's kind of what it comes down to, right? Like one is my more materialistic hobby, and one is more
yeah.
about the experiences. And if I can't have them both, then I guess I'd have to go with the experiences. But man, that would
Okay.
be tough. That would be
Good
tough.
answer. Good answer. All right.
All right, so my first one is a little random. Hopefully, it's a little easier than that one. But when you were growing up, I'm curious because I don't think we've talked about this. Did you play any sports growing up, like either organized or just backyard? And if so, did that have any influence on how you collect today or the sports that you follow today? Or are you just kind of a baseball fan, but more by always having appreciated the game and kind of that avenue?
Okay. Yeah, I did not play organized, but I played several different things not organized. But take a wild guess which one I was best at, like better than anybody I knew, kind of thing.
Well, so this might be an obvious guess. I could be falling into a trap here, but I'm going to say basketball based on your height.
That's what I thought you were going to say, and it was a trap. But similar advantage, except for that's not why. It's the hustle that does it, but it's volleyball. Now, when
No way.
you're up on the net, that can be an advantage. But I knew short guys that were killer. But the main thing was I could be all over the court and just, people be getting mad because I would just hit their ball because I knew they wouldn't get it.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Volleyball was the one I enjoyed playing and loved playing, and was probably just because I could do it well. I don't like doing things that I don't do well.
Sure.
Golf as an adult, I played for a long time.
That I
Um,
knew. I know you've referenced before going to events, golf
yeah,
events and stuff like that. So
never really collected it. I thought in the Tiger Mania years, I thought about buying a couple of prints with his autograph, things like that. They had some neat stuff, but I never did get into it. So not a big golf collector. Basketball played a lot. But I was never great at it. I could shoot and stuff, but basketball literally is running for 3 hours. And I've never
right.
been a runner. I've never been a runner. So all you're doing is running back and forth, and wind sprints and all that. I did not dig that. So, but shooting, playing horse, doing things like that. It was hours and hours and hours of that.
Love it.
Baseball, yes, and softball, whatever you want to call it, but it's it takes a lot of land and it takes a lot of people. So usually your friends, you're just not. And like I said, since I didn't play it organized,
Right.
I just, I didn't play it that often. I enjoyed it when I did, when I had joined a little league or do something like that. It was fun, but very little organized baseball ever. Even though if I didn't have any injuries or I, had time and a bunch of people to go do it with, I would still love playing. I would still love playing softball.
Great
Um,
answer. I'm
and
glad
that's
I didn't. I had no idea about the volleyball thing, so that's
Yeah,
awesome.
volleyball was killer. I guarantee you I could still dominate in that, but that's about it. Um,
Backyard cookout. If a volleyball game breaks out, you wanna
yeah,
you wanna draft Brent onto your team.
exactly. Exactly. And then not football playing, but football throwing. So I was the champion for like 20 years. We used to have this get-togethers and Thanksgivings and all that kind of stuff. We have a football toss with the football with the tail on it
Oh yeah, the Nerf.
that whistles.
Yeah.
And I was a champion for a long, long time. Now I've got nephews that have grown up, and one of them can outdo me. But that was something I dominated for years and years and years. I could always throw really hard. If I'd have applied myself to being a pitcher or something, I'm sure I could have done pretty well at it. But I didn't. I didn't care back then, so it passed me by. But yeah, those are the sports I really played the most and enjoyed playing volleyball the most.
That was a sobering reminder at the end too, because I got a couple little nephews, and I'm still at the age where I can kind of dominate them when we play backyard sports. But the
Yeah.
window's closing; they're going to be surpassing me
The
soon. Yep.
window is closing. I tore my shoulder. I tore my shoulder. I could still get it out there a little bit, but I have to be very careful. I don't want surgery. And then they're just younger and strong and athletic, and that's just the
You
way it
don't
goes.
want to
But
be in the ER throwing writing down through Nerf football on the intake form. That's never good. Yep.
exactly, I'm an idiot. I'm 51 years old and I'm trying to act like I'm 15. Ah, all right. Now, we kind of touched on this earlier on accident before we started hitting record, but couple of different ways to look at this. So when you used to be a blogger, and when you transition from that to YouTube, my first question was why? But secondly, like how did all that look? How did you decide like, hey, I'm going to stop doing this? I'm watching videos on YouTube. I want to start doing this. And how did that whole transition? Was it a hard transition? Was it like an easy decision? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I wrote a blog multiple times a week, every week from like 2008 all the way through early 2021. So like, it was like a 13-year stretch where that was my social element of the hobby in the same way that YouTube has been for the last 5 years. There's a whole community and ecosystem of people that read each other's blogs and send each other cards and trades. It's really similar in a lot of ways to
See, I didn't know that. I mean, I
yeah,
didn't.
I mean, and I don't know, to be fair, it's been about 5 years since I moved over, so I'm not as in tune to that community as I was. But at the time, I mean, yeah, I mean, there were dozens and dozens, or maybe even 100 or more active baseball card blogs, and people sending each other care packages and setting aside cards for each other when they knew they liked certain teams or players. And so that was like the social side of the hobby for me. Because as soon as I got back into the hobby as an adult, like back in 2007, I realized like pretty early on that I wanted to be able to share it with somebody. I don't really have anyone in my life other than my younger brother who's no longer around, but like my buddies and my wife and my family, like they're supportive of my hobby, but they're not into it in the same sense that a collector would be. So that became like the social side of my hobby, and I loved it for a long time. But as I got older, my schedule got tighter. You kind of referred to it during the intro. I'm not often home, at long stretches of time, or I only get a few minutes here or there to dedicate to the hobby. And it was a lot of work to put together a blog post. In some cases, I'd be scanning fronts and backs of 20 or 30 cards, getting them all uploaded onto the page, writing out all my thoughts and revising and editing and publishing and then responding to comments. And you do that a couple times a week, and it was very time consuming. And so I was getting a little tired of it, but I loved the community. But I still wanted a social element to my hobby because I just enjoy it more when I'm sharing it with others. And so what happened is during the pandemic, I had a lot of free time, like most people did. I didn't rediscover the hobby because I'd already been doing it for 13 years at that point. But I did discover kind of the YouTube sports card community that I didn't really realize was out there. And one of the first channels that I kind of latched onto was my buddy Eric over at Those Back Pages here on YouTube. And the way that I found him is he used to run a blog, and he was part of that blogging community like many years back. So when I was sitting around during COVID one time, I was like, I wonder whatever happened to Eric. And I searched his channel name and his blog name in Google, and it came up with a YouTube channel. So I headed over there. I started watching his videos, and I just thought it was great. I'm like, this is kind of enticing. This is maybe an easier way to share my collection. There are certain cards like shiny cards or other things that really come across better on video than trying to scan them or take a flat photo of them. You just don't get the same appreciation. And Eric was one of the things he always used to say in his videos or kind of beat the drum on is how easy it is to do this. And he was really encouraging of like anybody who was on the fence, just start a channel. I think he even showed his own setup at one point. It was like a 99-cent plastic stand with a phone sitting in it. And so that kind of gave me the courage to be like, oh, I could do this too. I know a lot about cards. I've been collecting for a dozen years or more at this point. I've got an iPhone, kind of have everything I need here. So figured I'll try it out. I made a couple videos, and then I ended up liking it so much. Like I never returned to blogging at all. The last entry on my blog is like, February of 2021, which is the same month I had my first YouTube video. And it ended up just kind of being a clean cut from one to the other. I still keep in touch with a few of the people that I knew from blogging, but I ended up loving this medium so much and this community so much that just became a no-brainer to stick with this. And it's easier, like we were talking before the video. If I get 15 minutes of free time, I'm a very like low quality video production guy. I don't edit. I don't do thumbnails. So all I need is a little stack of cards with a theme to them or that I want to talk about, and I hit the record button. If I have 10 or 15 minutes of time, I'm done. I hit upload, and I can move on with the 100 other things that are, tearing at my shirt sleeves. So that's a very long-winded answer, but that's kind of the reasoning why I made the switch over and ended up sticking with it.
And it sounds like it was a good switch.
Yeah, I love it. There's differences too, and I'm not knocking anyone who's part of that community, but for everything that I described that was similar, there were some big differences too. Like almost nobody is into graded cards in blogging, which I happen to love. And I always felt like whenever I posted graded cards, like I'd kind of get a little, not backlash, but like, la-ti-da, who are you? You're not a true collector if you like graded cards. And there's a lot more just low value collectors on there, which I love too. In fact, the cards I'm going to show tonight are cheap pickups. I love that side of the hobby, and there was no culture, which I was really surprised about when I came over to YouTube. Like when I joined YouTube, I had never heard of like everybody going to the National or Strongsville or any of this. Like I was a part of that community for 12, 13 years and nobody went to those shows and nobody talked about it at all. So it's kind of a reminder that there's a whole wider world of this hobby out there than like the little, community that we end up a part of here on YouTube, as great as it is.
Yeah, nobody was meeting up at these shows and stuff like, yeah.
No, so.
That's a good point about other people. I might have not gotten back into it if it wasn't for my nephew back in 17 or whatever, just seeing him kind of enjoying starting and picking up some packs. And that's all it was at that point, just picking up some packs and stuff. And then like, with everything I lost, I never thought I would start buying other stuff again. But eventually it's like, what if I get this? Just that'll be good. And now what if I get this too, and it kind of just snowballed from there. So, I've been in the YouTube space for, going on probably 8 years almost now, but, only a year and a half doing my own videos. But eventually, I think probably the way I transitioned, if I think about it, was I think he told me something about breaks. And I'm like, why would you want someone else opening your card? So I think he showed me something and I looked at YouTube and was just watching these guys break people's stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is wild. There's a whole thing on here. Eventually I must have stumbled across you and, Dylan and Greg and, just the whole thing just changed completely, as far as my outlook on the hobby. But I was never doing something else, I just oblivious to the whole thing. Never knew about blogging. I mean, I knew blogging exists in the world, but not in the sports card world. Just never crossed my mind. So, and I've never signed up for a blog. I've never done a paid blog for anything. Just, just wasn't in my mind. So yeah, that's really interesting to hear how you transition and why. But it all makes sense. Yep. But you say you're low quality, but you're about to go in the Hall of Fame. So
well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But
I've been paying attention. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But it's awesome, regardless of how that goes. Just in general, I mean, I've met, from 12 or 13 years blogging compared to 5 on YouTube, the amount of interaction in this community is like tenfold. I mean, I didn't really meet with in person or on video or talk on the phone really with too many people in that world, and I've met numerous YouTubers, gone to shows, done collabs like these. It's definitely much better on the social side of things as well. I think a lot of the people running blogs tend to have the kind of personality that I do, which is more kind of loner, a little bit socially awkward. And so it's been really good for me to get on YouTube and meet a bunch of friends like you who I would have never known otherwise. So
yeah, we don't live close. We would have never known each other. And there's a lot of things like that. Keith up in New York. I mean, we just never would have run across the people that now are important to us. It's kind of crazy, but you say you're a loner and all that kind of stuff, but you do like the interaction, and you've even said you don't know if you would even collect in a vacuum anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it would be as fun. It just wouldn't be if you don't have something to, or somebody or a group of people to share it with. It's nowhere near as entertaining as it is when you do have that. So
yeah, isn't that wild? I mean, we literally just changed because of all that. So very, very cool. All right, that's a great answer.
Awesome. All right. Well, my second one, this is, I guess, kind of a riff on a theme that I've heard in a couple of videos lately. I think John Mangini put one out there about, the obsession that we have about death in our collections. But so it's not that direct question, but I'm just curious because this is something I've been struggling with. But after all your years, in the hobby, and you're someone who, like me, who picks up a lot of different cards and has a ton of variation in their collection, is there a size of your collection, like physically or mentally, that you think is kind of the limit of what you'd like to see it get through? Or are you one of those guys who's like, the more the merrier, I'm just going to keep adding. If I like it, I want it, and kind of more in that mindset?
The latter. And I know you're going toward the former now, and I totally understand. I understand almost everybody that collects anything in any way. When they say why they do it, I get it. I'm not like mad at someone for not collecting a certain thing or a certain way. Some people just can't see past their own. But I can see all sides. But for me, yeah, everything that's happened in my life, and even owning my own business, I don't make a ton of money, but I do it because I don't want to work for someone else. So it's like
Amen to that.
you you get you get to the point where there's certain things you just don't want to do, and I have so many other things that are constraints with my hobby. I don't want to put rules to it. Like I've heard people make all these lists and stuff, and I know they got to make content, but some people really want a list if they're going to a show or whatever. They want to stick to, man, the whole exciting Disney World feeling to me, if I went to a national, would be, I don't know. I don't know what I'm
Right.
going to see in these cases. I might run into something super awesome that I'm not even thinking about. I would have so much more fun not putting a list together than trying to pigeonhole myself. And it's the same way with the collection. I love it when I run across something. Let's say like those 24 archives foil board signatures.
Yep.
You know, I run across something that just, bam, that is so fantastic, that I didn't know about, or in that case was fairly new at the time. It's just like, that is just a revelation. That is super, super fun. I already know about all the other cards, even though I don't collect a lot of the vintage stuff. I know about it all. I just don't talk about it all on here, and I don't collect a lot of it. I collect things for specific reasons in that era,
Sure.
but I collect whatever, whenever, as long as I can. Just it's the one thing in life I don't have to be nailed down to
Yep.
something specific. So I kind of just do it willy nilly. Just if I really like something, pick it up. If it brings me joy, and if it doesn't later, you can get rid of it. But more
Exactly.
more often than not, it's something that brings me joy, and I like it. Even like the brand new stadium clubs just hit. The Ryan looks great. Hopefully, I run into a foil board that's not $200 at some point.
It's
So
getting harder than ever these
it's
days.
getting
Yeah.
harder than ever, thanks to you. But and the buybacks. But we both picked up some really cool buybacks this last year. Even some one of ones, some stuff I haven't shown yet. But that stuff is super fun. And once again, if I didn't know you, I wouldn't have got into it. I knew
Right.
buybacks existed, but I didn't really know what the deal was with them. I didn't really care. And some people still don't, but a lot of more people do care now because they bid them up higher. But
I've noticed.
and
Yeah.
I had foil boards, but a stadium club with the chrome and everything is so, I don't want to use the word confusing because it makes sense, but there's so many different shiny, pretty versions. I didn't put the importance on the foil board as much before. If I could get a orange refractor
Right.
numbered to a similar thing or whatever. Of course, if Ryan was with the Astros, orange or blue or whatever. Yeah, I just pick up one of those, even if it's one numbered to 199. Sometimes they aren't easy to find.
Right.
But now foil board is definitely what I want if I can get it. There are some cases you just can't find them, but it's exciting when you hit one. It's like,
Right.
wow, that's what I've been looking for. Now there's one in particular you're looking for that I don't know. I always look for you, and it's
Someday. Someday. Yep.
yeah, it might be a white whale that comes someday, but yeah, no, I don't think of it in terms of this is a specific type of collection I want, and that's all it's going to be.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I'm very similar to you, where I see both sides of the coin as well. And in fact, I've been on the other side for almost 2 decades, which is kind of the reason I'm getting into condensing now. Because after collecting like that for almost 20 years, it's just taking up a massive amount of physical space in my card room and in my mind. And so it's just kind of flushing some out. But it's really just to consolidate and bring more in. There's always more I'm interested in, and new rabbit holes I'm going down. So yeah, that was
Yeah,
a good answer.
yeah, and I will say you talked about it more on your channel than I did, but both of us sold just a crap ton of stuff last year to buy other stuff.
Yep.
And if I sell stuff to pay some bills or something, that's a whole different thing. But I mean, you're talking about buying stuff to buy other stuff. It's something. There were some bigger cards, and bigger cards for me is a few $100. I mean, that's
Right.
a giant card. And you can't just pull that out of thin air. So you got to sell stuff. You just bought a massive, 4 printing plate autograph thing that I'd never even heard of. It's just insanity. People got to go check out that video. It's nuts. But yeah, to be able to get that stuff and to be able to complete that Yankee jersey set, things like that, you got to give up some stuff to kind of go down those roads. So I do it for that reason, but it's
Right.
not that I want to get rid of stuff or I'm just doing it to do it. But if I see something that I'm never going to see again, and I can sell some PSA 10s that I can easily get back in a 9 or even a 10, but I don't want to pay for it, so probably going to replace it in a 9.
Yep.
That's what I did all last year. I mean, there's almost none of that stuff left. So just using it to fund stuff that I can't find.
Love it. Great answer.
All right, we talked about ballparks and all kinds of different fun things, but as far as hockey, since you were a hockey guy and you were even a hockey guy first, what is the biggest moment or event that you got to attend in hockey?
Oh man, there's been a lot of them over the years. So I played ice hockey from like the time I learned how to skate as like a 5 year old. They sent like a brochure to my grade school when I was in like kindergarten or first grade to try to like recruit kids to play hockey. And I brought it home and I was like, I really want to do this. My dad was all for it, so we signed up. And then my younger brothers got into it. So we were growing up. We were like a hockey household. So I have tons of memories from playing organized hockey, which I did from like age 6 all the way through the end of high school. And then I played in like recreational floor hockey leagues and stuff as an adult, even after that. So I have a lot of good moments in that sense. And then I've also been able to catch a lot of like cool live stuff in person, NHL games and meeting players and stuff like that. But I would have to say, I guess if I had to pick one, when I was a kid, I was a Hartford Whalers fan because we lived in Connecticut. They were the local team. We'd always tune into the TV broadcast 2 or 3 nights a week, watch all the games, and a couple times a year we'd go to downtown Hartford. My parents would spring for tickets, and the team was always terrible. They made the playoffs like once in their whole existence. They were not a good franchise, but they were like my heroes when I was a
Yeah.
kid. And so they had a club that you could be part of that was called the Junior Whalers Club. And me and my brothers were part of that. And once a year, they would have an event called Junior Whalers Day. And any kids who were part of that club, they could go to downtown Hartford to the Civic Center where the Whalers played, and they would have all the players there signing. They'd have all tables out in the hallway, and you'd get a package of like oversized cards, and you could go around, get all your cards signed, talk with the players, shake their hands, meet them, and everything. So to me, that's probably the highlight, just being there, like with my dad, my 2 younger brothers, and my mom, and just seeing all those guys that I had watched on TV and that I tried to emulate, out on the ice or in my backyard with my street hockey net, and just meeting those guys in person, getting their autographs on cards, which also kind of fueled my, the card hobby side of it. So I
Yeah.
think I'd have to go with that as my favorite memory.
Okay, that's awesome because Taylor is a Astros buddy now. That's what they call it, and
Nice.
they don't have all the players show up, but they do one per year that you get to go. Yeah, and they have other benefits and different things to do too. But the autograph thing is just one guy, and he's gotten, the last 3 years he's gotten to do that, and hopefully he'll look back at those as some kind of a good memory now that you mentioned that. So that's super
Yeah.
cool.
Honestly, franchises, in my opinion, franchises are really smart to do that kind of thing for kids because that's how you get them involved and passionate about sports. And then they later on develop into guys like me and you who have
Yeah.
disposable income and want to go see the team play and buy tickets and buy souvenirs. And so I think it's really wise when teams do that.
Yeah, and I thought it was smart the last, for my whole life because they've always just kept it super cheap. Because you get 4 tickets to a game, you get, I mean, way more value than. But now they've really started jacking it up, and it made me think what you're saying right now. Like,
Yep.
don't keep them from being, hooked because you keep it cheap enough, they get hooked and they'll love the sport and love your team and all that kind of stuff. But
Yep.
yeah, they've kind of doubled and tripled the price in the last few years. It just kind of stinks, but just when you get privileges and autographs and 4 tickets to a game, all that kind of stuff for just a few dollars, I can see. But I always thought it was a loss leader for them for that reason. To just
Right.
get more fan base eventually. Let's not let the sport die over time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said.
Now with the looming lockout slash strike, it's gonna
Whew.
hurt. There's no way we're playing full games next year, maybe none. But that's just a super super sad thing. But I'm glad my son's been able to do that kind of stuff that you're talking about because he may look back on it the same way.
All right. Well, mine that was a great question, so thank you. But my next one is kind of a linked to the previous one conveniently. But you mentioned obviously that you're more of like a collector of opportunity. Like if you were to go to the Nationals, half the fun would just be seeing what's there and what you ran into. But
Yeah.
with that being said, is there like one card on your list or one card on your mind or that's been on your mind for years? It could either be something that is just astronomical and could never be attainable even
Yeah.
if you won the lottery, or it could be just a $10 card that you just can't find or never see anywhere. But is there like one or even two cards out there that you've just been passionately trying to find and just have not had, luck locating, or that would be a dream card for you?
Yeah, boy, there really are, and I struggle a little bit with buying the ones that I had versus something I never had, kind of a thing. Budget obviously is a thing with any of that now. Um, like the Venezuelan Ryan rookie. You know, I just found out at that show I went to that one just like mine sold for 100,000.
Oh,
The orange Charlotte in the condition I had sold for like 70,000, and that wasn't even a
whew.
recent sale. So two cards right there, I could have made a ton of money on. But I felt like it back then. I felt like they should be worth that, and they just weren't. So it was like always frustrating to me. It's like, why don't you realize what these are? You know. And now
You were just ahead of the curve. Yeah.
25 years ahead of the curve. If it was a few years, that'd be one thing. But I was so far ahead that it didn't do me any good. But yeah, there's so many great cards. But the one that always eats at me is the orange Charlotte. I mean, it's the one that's just like, when I see it, it just is something magic twinkle in my eye. And it's like there's nothing else. I mean, a Venezuelan Ryan's great, but it's basically a horrible condition Nolan Ryan rookie,
Right.
you know, and I don't even have a regular one right now, but I had all four of them. But dream card, there's so many different things. That Ripken that I just bought with the 82 tops traded with the I Am Iron Man is one of them.
I was thinking of that actually when I put that question down. Yeah.
It is absolutely one of the ones I didn't think I would get, and I just always wanted. And there's not a whole lot of them, and that one's the most perfect you could ever want as far as a card and a 10 autograph on that thing. It's just I'm super lucky to have found that this last year. But yeah, the Ripken Charlotte's the one that eats at me the most. But there is definitely other ones I'm not even thinking of right now that I always wanted. I mean, I had the Frank Thomas no name, the 77 Ricky Henderson, and I know Dean has one of those now.
Yes.
But I had all the stuff that I wanted that was rare in that the era of our guys. But like a Mickey Mantle, like this year, 2026, Topps is putting a Mickey Mantle redemption in their pack. So someone's going to pull one. Hopefully they see it and know what it is. If it's not a kid throwing it away, that's could
Right.
happen. There's still a lot of one-on-ones that haven't been pulled out of packs the last few years. Tom Brady
Yep.
stuff, all kinds of stuff. Even some kind of LeBron. Every sport has this going on. But if I found it, I would be selling it as soon as I got it.
Right.
As much as I love the Mantle 52, it's worth way too much for my enjoyment.
Right. You could fund multiple of those dream cards that you just talked about potentially. Yep.
So yeah, exactly. And so that card isn't one of mine. If I was just flush with cash and could buy anything in the world, yeah, I'd own one. But there'd be a lot of other things that come before that. But I will say the one that just eats at me, and if I ever see a real one, it just makes me. I mean, it just the orange, the Orioles, the Ripken, the rarity. There's only like 40 known copies in graded. The weird thing is, I don't know if I ever told it on here, but I could have owned three. I could, I could have bought
Man.
three. I bought the nicest one of the three, but I looked for that card for decades. I mean, they just were not out there. And you got to remember, they only sold like the blue, and the blue ones are awesome. I had the best one of those in the world. I had the only PSA 8, and now the PSA 8 is worth a fortune. But those sold in team sets only, minor league cards back then, and at the stadium, so they're rare. But the orange one was only given out by police to kids, a card or two at a time. The fact that any of them exist anymore is unbelievable.
90% were probably destroyed within a week, you know.
And why
Yep.
and why they didn't just use the regular blue, who knows? But the fact that they printed up, take the time to print up an orange version, was really cool. And obviously it's just something that I wish I could have kept. But like I said, I can't call it a regret because I had to do it at the time.
Right.
But yeah, and I remember the guy wanted some money off of it. I think I sold it for like $3,500 or something. I think I paid $2,000 for it. And at the time, I was like, "No, you're never seeing another one, dude." And he paid. And this is back in the days where we had to mail a cashier's check. You don't know
Oof.
if you're getting the card. You don't. I mean, that was some scary times.
Yep.
But I never forget when that thing hit the door. And I was at home and it hit the door, and I went out and I knew it was in the package, and I opened it up and it's like, I never thought I'd have this card. I already had the PSA 8 blue, the WBTV. But yeah, when that thing hit, I was like, man, this is the one. But that if anyone just kind of always comes up in the back of my mind, as much of a Nolan collector I am, that card is the one that always just it's magical when I see it.
Love it. I figured I had like 50-50 odds that was going to be the answer. So I love it.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I hate to say the one that's unaffordable because I mean there's plenty of them if I thought long enough there would be, but the one that's kind of unaffordable but still was able to be done last year by only selling stuff like we talked about was that Ripken. That was a big one.
Yep.
I'll never let it go. That thing is just super awesome. All right, we're gonna go way off the beaten path here. We know we're Star Wars fans, that kind of thing. What is your favorite Star Wars movie of all of them?
Oh man, so this is another one that I'm just gonna get murdered in the comments for, but it's probably more based on my age than anything. So believe it or not, my favorite would probably be Return of the Jedi, which
Me
is
too. Me
yeah.
too.
I mean, I was
Me
born in
too.
1982, so like I wasn't alive for like the original release of the first movie in '77. So I obviously watched it later, and then same thing with Empire Strikes Back. And if I'm going on like face value, what I think is an actual better quality movie now when I watch them as an adult from start to finish, I would probably pick one of those. But Return of the Jedi came out when I was like 1 year old. So like when I was 5 or 6, we had our home recorded VHS copy because back then in the 80s, that's what you did. You had like an HBO subscription and a VCR at home. You'd buy your blank, Maxell videotape and you would just hit record when it started on HBO. So we had a whole movie cabinet of, home recorded VHS videos. And my brothers and I like wore out Return of the Jedi. Probably watched it 100 times. I mean, I can still recite that entire movie like start to finish without it even being on the screen in front of me. So I know it gets like trashed out of the original trilogy because of the Ewoks and it's cheesy and blah blah blah. But for me, I got to just stick to
No.
my guns for nostalgia reasons. That's my favorite.
No, yeah, I was 8 years old. I saw it in the theater. It was the first Star Wars I could see in the theater, and it's a no-brainer for me. And I think people give it a bad rap for the only reason I will give them is the Ewoks. But you got to remember, when we were kids, that was actually cute and fun. And
Right.
I had a whole Ewok village. I had the figures. I had all that stuff.
Oh, so this is really, I'll keep this brief so we don't go like way off the beaten path here any further. But I was even there was like 2 Ewok spin-off movies later in the 80s that came out.
Yeah.
I think they were like made direct for TV. Maybe they didn't even come out in theaters, but even those we loved, like my brothers and I, we had those recorded too. So
Did
yeah.
you used to watch the cartoon?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So if you were the right age back then, like
Yeah.
when you're that young, you're not gonna you don't have the context that you have as an adult. So that's always been my favorite.
You can say what you want now, but that movie had it all.
Yep.
We finally got Jedi Luke looking like a baddie in the black suit. We got the disguise. We got the whole Jabba thing. We got that whole thing with the Sarlacc pit, and yes, Boba Fett was dead. Let's just start with that. And the good humor with Han Solo. Then you had the space battles. Then you had
Yep.
the Emperor stuff that we've been waiting forever for. Then you had the
Exactly.
redemption of Darth Vader and the death of the Emperor. Yes, he died.
Yep.
They can retcon all this stuff, but there was so many things. Now I will say, if you want to say the Empire Strikes Back, finding out he was his dad was the biggest moment. Okay,
Right.
but a bunch of snow stuff, I get it. But Return of the Jedi had everything. It had lots of different places. I'm a huge guy with forests and stuff. They had the redwood forest.
Exactly. Yep.
The indoor scenes. Now I will say, throwing a rock at a stormtrooper, I get it. I get it. But giant logs crushing something, that's feasible. That's
Right.
really, really cool. And tripping over logs, they couldn't stand up on that. That makes sense. There was some things that were cool and some things, that would be fake.
Yeah, they had the whole scene with the speeder bikes racing through the forest, and I mean, it was a great movie.
It was epic. There was so many different vignettes in different areas that they filmed in that movie. It was just fantastic. But yeah, I understand what people say. But when we were kids, we loved even the Ewok part. But if you want to complain about that, fine. But the rest of it, man, it had it all. It had it all. We wanted the redemption of Darth Vader. We wanted to see how all that unfolded. It was fabulous. But yeah, okay, that was a perfect answer. Like me and Keith, I think agree. Like Rocky IV, that's our favorite by far. Some movie buffs will tell you one, and I get it. But I thought 4 was the funnest, and I thought Return of the Jedi was the funnest. So
good. Well, at least if I get killed in the comments, we'll get killed together. So that makes me feel a little bit better. Yep. All right. Well, this my fourth one is actually amazingly we're kind of on the same page again, but this is very close to or kind of a riff on what you started with, just from a different angle. So, hypothetical situation: if you had to give up collecting cards tomorrow, and you were forced to sell all your cards and enter into a brand new hobby. You could no longer participate in YouTube and watch people's videos, be part of the community. You just have to get rid of your entire collection, and you got to pick a new hobby that you're going to do for the rest of your life that can't be sports cards, what would it be?
Wow. Okay, I did not come up with that one, but that is a good one. That is a really good one. So I've been part of different things over time. Would I go back to any of that? Man, it probably wouldn't be collecting anymore. I've done lots of different collections, and I come back to baseball cards. It's probably my favorite one. So I mean, the one that just when you asked, it just kind of came to mind. Now I still would have some things to deal with different, like I said, injuries and things like that I'd have to overcome. But the one that just pops in my mind would be golf.
Yep.
Getting back with my friend, going out on beautiful days and beautiful. I mean, golf courses are some of the most beautiful places ever. I love nature. I probably wouldn't be as, you know, tightly wind and just frustrated these days like I was when I played it a long time ago. I'd probably be a little easier going with all of that. But I probably wouldn't be a collector of anything anymore. It would probably be something different, and it would probably be golfing, just because that's the first thing that sprang to mind. Do it. It's once a week, whatever it is. I probably wouldn't be that serious about it. But if I had my druthers and I could just live on a golf course and just play, a few holes at a time, whatever, just mess around, I probably would choose that.
That's a great and kind of a sub question to this, or a related question that I kind of tucked underneath it. But is there anything else that you watch on YouTube? Any other type of content that you watch on YouTube other than sports cards, or is it basically like 95 to 100% sports card content?
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. I've watched lots of things over the years, and just with my other passions. That's. But now, when they sent that thing at the end of the year telling us what we watched the most, that's when it told me. But it's real baseball content.
Nice. Yep.
So actual MLB content, whether it's about my team or about baseball in general. I could watch trivia. I could watch interviews. I could watch stuff all day long just with real baseball content, just like I could with this content. So
Awesome.
definitely 100% still related to baseball, but just the real sports side of it.
Great answer. Yeah, I know that was a two-parter, but they were
Yeah,
kind of close. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
perfect.
No, I love it. I love this kind of stuff. That's what I wanted to do it. Okay, I thought you were going in this direction when you started that question, but you didn't, so that's good. But if you did have to sell everything but one, now I'm not talking about a project, a binder full of your whole set of buybacks, that kind of. If you had to just keep one card, what would it be?
Man.
I mean, would it be a sentimental pick or just
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be a sentimental one, and it would probably be it's a card you can buy for like $5, but it's the 1950 Bowman baseball, Maurice McDermott. He was a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. He actually wrote a really interesting book a few years back, like a biography. Really interesting dude, highly touted prospect, and he had some issues with drinking and other things that kind of derailed his career. But the reason I would pick that card is you mentioned it earlier, but I got into hockey cards first because we had started playing the winter of 1989. My dad would, buy us hockey cards to kind of encourage our participation in hockey. But it was the following spring that I got into baseball, and this was the first vintage baseball card that I ever owned. And so with hockey, like I couldn't pick one individual card. If you hadn't made the clarification about not being able to take like a binder, because my choice would have been my childhood 1989 Topps hockey binder that I still have with the first cards that I ever had in it, my cover that my dad made for me and my brothers and I
yeah,
would trade. But there
yeah,
wasn't like one, that's more memory of the set as a whole. And I don't have like one single card in that set that I would highlight above all the others. But this vintage baseball card has always stuck out in my mind because I was probably 7 years old, something like that. And we went to an antique store in Connecticut, and they had this little wooden bin, and it might have even been a cheese box, honestly, and it was filled with vintage Bowman cards from the 50s. They were just common players, and they were like $2 each, or five for $10, something like that. So I begged my dad to pick one out because at that point I didn't have anything older than like the mid '80s in my collection. So had no idea who the guy was. I just saw that he had a Red Sox cap on, and it was a colorful, cool card, and brought that home. And I remember being on the ride home with my dad in the car, reading the biography on the back and joking with my dad about it. And I still have that original copy to this day. So that's like kind of the card that cemented my love of, baseball cards and like really got me pumped up about the hobby. And so, yeah, if I had to get rid of anything else, I'd just walk around with that one in a top loader in my pocket, just because it would kind of remind me of like everything that it's grown into in the 35 years since, kind of all encapsulated in one $5 common card.
Yeah, yeah. If I still had stuff from that era, there was that I have an exact memory because there's certain things that I remember with my dad, him getting and all that kind of stuff. If I had any of that, yeah, that would be right up there. But you went to that pretty quick, so you didn't have to think super hard. If you asked me that question, I don't know how I'd answer it. That's kind of why I wanted to ask you because I don't even know.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
have to
tough
really
too
think.
because I know you can relate to this, but there's also the angle of like scarcity, and I've really gotten into like one of ones and buybacks and other really rare things where like if I gave them up, I would never get them back again. So there is a part of me that would kind of like hedge towards one of those, but ultimately at the end of the day, like nostalgia's the real reason or one of the primary drivers for me in the hobby. So I think I would have to go with a memorable card like that.
Yeah, no, I like that answer. I really didn't know what you were going to say. Now, if I had to pick something from your collection, the Ryan rookie buyback would be it. Now, you have things that are technically more valuable and all that kind of stuff, but that one is unique.
Agreed. Yeah, that would certainly be in the top 10. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, my last question is another hypothetical, but obviously, you're anyone I know, you're like the biggest fan of the Astrodome in terms of like the memories you've had there and going to visit it, and all the artifacts you have, and periodicals, everything you've collected. So, if you were given the keys to the Astrodome tomorrow and you were tasked with overseeing, the restoration of this place or returning it to public use somehow, what would you want to see happen with it in an ideal world? Like logistics aside, just in a perfect world, what would be the best way to reuse that space or to breathe new life into it?
Yeah, and I really hope it does. I thought you were going to say what was the biggest or my favorite event that I saw there. That's where I thought you
I
were
would
going.
like to hear that too as
That's
the second part. Yeah,
but yeah, I would take the plan that they have now would be fine, which if they did it, it would be a lot of restaurants and hotels and things like that inside. And it looks real pretty what they're doing. It would be sort of unrecognizable to what it was though.
sure.
But I would take it. If they did it real pretty, the whole grounds, I think everything would just be, top notch. But I say take that $1.5 billion and make it our next stadium.
Right,
I say instead of going and building the next one. Now, there's other stadiums that didn't last as long as the one we have now, and there's no end in sight of when they want to get rid of this thing.
right,
But the fact is, at some point, you got to go somewhere else. I would put it into just a ridiculous restoration. You've already got some bones there.
right,
Let's go back to the eighth wonder of the world and let's make just a ridiculously awesome baseball stadium. I mean, I don't want them to tear the roof off and make it retractable, but I would do just about anything if we could watch games there. You could, I mean, the seating, I mean, like everything that needs to be upgraded, you could upgrade for the same price as building some ridiculous place somewhere else.
right.
So
Love it.
if I had the money, let's say I have $1.5 billion that I just didn't know how to spend, I would literally just put it right there. I would make it the most fantastic place it could ever be, ever, and still have some of the old charm that it had, and keep some of the memorabilia. A lot of different things I would keep there so people could still see it, even though it would look somewhat different. But the shell on the outside would still look pretty good. You just got to give it a facelift. But
Right,
the inside, just do whatever you got to do to make it unbelievable. And if the grass is the issue and you got to make a retractable dome somehow, at least keep the rounded shape.
right,
Keep it somehow where it's recognizable to a certain extent. But just make it a fantastic place to go see it, and not just baseball events. They do
right.
everything in these places now.
Oh yeah,
Um,
exactly. Concerts and other
yeah,
gatherings. Yep.
and now we don't have to worry about the Oilers playing there too, because it was both.
Right,
Now, right next door is a giant place that the Texans play, and different seasons being different times. I think you could work the parking out somehow. Um, but yeah, that's what I would do 100%. And there's still where the Astro World was. There's a bridge over the highway, that you used to walk over. You'd park where
Huh.
the Astrodome is, and you would walk over the bridge to get to Astroworld. You didn't park over there at all. You parked around the Astrodome area, and then you'd go over a bridge, walk to Astroworld when that was there. So I would buy all that, just make that a really nice parking lot, and then you just walk over to the Astrodome where it is now. I mean, it's still there. We just need to make it awesome, but it would take the same kind of money as it would take to build a new stadium, $1.5 billion
Right.
or whatever crazy money it is. But that's what I would do 100%. But if it meant keeping it versus imploding it, I would take the hotels and restaurants and all that, and you better believe I'd be going down there
Right.
and participating in that stuff.
That was a perfect answer. For a diehard baseball fan, there's no better fate that it could see than somehow
Yeah.
magically getting restored to be a major league stadium again. So perfect
I
answer.
know it wouldn't be easy, but hey, building a whole new place isn't easy either. So that's what I would do. But as far as my favorite event there, that's a really tough one. I thought that's where you were going, but you would think it's something Astros related, but I honestly, it's hard to understate what a big deal it was back then. But when Sammy Sosa passed up McGuire 66-65, I mean the place was nuts. You can go watch it on YouTube. We were curtain calling him, Sammy, Sammy. I mean the place was absolute pandemonium. He actually passed him up, and he hit a super ridiculous bomb in the black seats. It was, you never see a home run there. The whole thing, flash bulb. We didn't have phones
Right.
with cameras, so I mean, it just flash bulbs everywhere. Just one of the best moments of my life was when that happened, and it went on for a while. It was so awesome, and we didn't know what would happen. They could have
Right.
finished the season 66-65. He
Right.
didn't hit anymore, and then Mark hit 5 in 3 days. It is what it is. But I was rooting for Sammy. Of course, I love Mark too. I didn't hate him or anything. It was just
Right.
the funnest race to watch ever. But I was too young to say that the Nolan Ryan moments, and of course, I never saw his no hitter. I never was there for a big thing like that. In '97, when we finally went to the playoffs again, and we actually got to run on the field, which, from all of my research, is the last time fans got to run on a baseball field in history, because they said it was '95 with the Mariners. And I'm like, nope, I was there 2 years later. So, if you look at on the internet, it'll tell you about the Mariners being the last time the security didn't stop people from running on. But no, we got to do it in '97, and and of course confetti just falling from the dome, and just the whole thing. I'm picking it up off the ground, taking dirt.
Love
That
it.
was that was another one that sticks out a lot. Those two moments, but there was many other ones, but those two just stick out. Yeah.
Awesome. Great answer.
Yeah. Well, that's the 5, right?
That's the 5. That's what I
We
had.
will we will have to do this again sometime. That was
Yes.
super super fun. It doesn't have to be hobby questions, it can be any kind of question. That's what's so awesome about it. All right, so we got some trivia here. This one I was thinking about the other day. Like, we know Ripken, famous. He's probably the second greatest shortstop of all time if you look at Honus. But either way, the streak is what he's known for, even though that shouldn't be all he's known for. But he had obviously 26, 32, and Gehrig and all that kind of stuff. But what about the other sports? I started thinking, who has the record in the other sports? Do you have any idea in the NFL who played the most consecutive games?
Jeez.
I'll tell you, I didn't know it. I knew number 2, but I did not know
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Jeff Fagels. He played in 352 consecutive games.
0% chance I would have guessed that. Yeah.
Me too. Me too. But the second one I knew was durable, and he's a quarterback,
Drew
and he
Brees?
was tough. Nope.
I don't know.
But so 352 is number 1. 299 almost made it to 300. Brett Favre.
Oh, that makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Jeff Fagels, I would not have gotten it. Of course, Ripken in baseball, and the NBA. Who do you think played the most? And I'm not going to let this go. I know these are hard, but it's curious. It's fun to tell everybody.
I don't know on that one.
AC Green.
Again,
AC
would not have guessed that.
AC Green, 1,192 consecutive games without turning an ankle or anything. Missing a game.
I mean, that's got to
just
be like,
great.
that's dozen seasons or more. Wow, man.
I will say there's a couple of active guys in the 260s and 270s in football that could, keep going to 350.
Huh.
Who knows? Who knows? But There are some active guys. There's one active guy in the NHL. Now, this is the one I thought maybe you'd have the best shot at. Who
Yeah,
played the most
embarrassingly. So
consecutive
I
games?
know for a long time, I think it was a player called Doug Jarvis, maybe, but I feel like he was
Okay.
surpassed.
He's been passed 3 times.
Yeah,
But you're right. You're right. He
he,
is number 4.
yeah, he had the record for a long time. Man,
Yeah, Doug Jarvis passed Gary Unger.
yep.
That's 914. He's 964. There's a guy I already like. His name is Brent Burns.
Oh yeah,
Um,
good defenseman.
he,
Yep.
he's he's at 967. Now I printed this up a few days ago. It could be, I don't know what. Who
Actually,
knows?
this will still be accurate. They're on break for the Olympics, so
Okay.
this will still be
Okay.
accurate.
So this will be real good. So Brent Burns is at 967. So he passed Jarvis. There's a guy named Keith Yandel.
Yep.
That is 989. And there's only one guy over 1,000 has got 1,064. But Brent Burns could technically pass him. I don't know how old Brent is, but
He's getting up there, but he's still going, so he's got a shot. But
he might be number 1. But Phil Kessel.
oh wow, I would not have guessed that.
Okay, I didn't know if you just knew it like a fact, like Ripken. Since
No,
you're
I know him
okay,
too. So he began his career with the Bruins, so I'm very familiar with him. And
okay,
I think what's miraculous about that too, he was I believe a cancer survivor very early on in his career, or had some type of very serious illness that he overcame. So to get past that and then play that many consecutive games in something that's as difficult and full contact to play in as the National
that's
Hockey League is
yeah.
impressive. So.
Only one guy ever to play over 1,000. It's 1,064 games. That's pretty crazy. But the main thing, this you're gonna probably come close to running the table here, but there's some other interesting things about this. But career war leaders by position.
Oh man.
This is fun.
Let's
Catcher.
see. Catcher. Man.
Your gut instinct is going to be correct.
I'm thinking either Yogi or Johnny Bench, but I don't know. Maybe it's
Pick
neither.
one. Pick one.
I'll go with Yogi.
Nope.
Ah,
Johnny
wrong
Bench,
choice. Yep.
considered the best catcher ever, and he is the highest WAR, 75.1. Who do you think is the active leader?
For catcher?
Yeah.
Oh man.
The active ones are hard. It's crazy.
Trying to think who's been around a long time.
I'll just tell you.
Yeah.
JT Realmuto.
Oh man, I almost said that too. Yep.
He's got 38.8. But yeah, Bench, best catcher ever. He is the highest WAR. That's pretty cool. First base, another easy one.
Gehrig?
Gehrig.
Yep.
You can guess the active leader too.
Um,
You like him.
let's see. I don't know why I'm blanking on this.
Yeah, when you hear it, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, man, I don't know. I can't come up with it right now.
Freddie Freeman.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been great for a long
He's
time.
64.2, Freddie Freeman.
And yeah, I mean, 15 years now in the league, so that tracks.
Yeah. Second base.
Joe Morgan, maybe?
Nope. Rogers Hornsby.
That makes sense.
He's got a 127.3.
Whoa, yeah,
So-
Morgan had some good years, but yeah, that's insane. Yep.
All right, active.
I guess it depends how you classify it. I don't know if
50,
Mookie Betts.
53.4.
I don't know.
Altuve.
That should have been obvious. Yep.
Third base. This one's an interesting one that will have one of the interesting caveats I was going to talk about.
Mike Schmidt, maybe?
Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt,
Yep.
106.9. And before we get to the caveat, active player, 61.7.
Arenado?
Machado.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't have thought, but I knew he was up there, but that's interesting. But the caveat, obviously, is people changing positions.
Right.
So if A-Rod was a third baseman the whole time, he would be the leader.
Makes sense.
He would be like, he's 117. So he'd be well over Schmidt if he'd just been there the whole time. Just like Ripken switching positions.
Yep.
Overall, they get the big WAR, but, it splits it a little bit. Shortstop.
Struggling with this one. Banks?
No. Honus Wagner by a mile.
Oh yeah, I'm not going back far enough. Yep.
130.8. So Honus just destroyed.
Whew.
Current.
Current shortstop. I don't know. I'm doing terrible at this. Yeah.
Lindor.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Left
Sneaky
field.
good player. You don't hear much
Yeah,
about him in the hobby, but he's a good player.
he's done a lot, so left field all time.
Mm,
Not even remotely close.
Henderson? No,
Bonds.
sorry. Yeah.
Bonds. Yeah.
Oh, King of
Bonds.
War. King of
King
War.
of
Yeah.
King of War. Other than, one guy. This one I would not have guessed, but who do you think is the current? I would have never
Mm,
got this.
yeah, I don't know.
45.1 is Christian Yelich.
Really? I'm surprised because he's kind of fallen off a cliff at times in
I
recent years.
know. I know. I guess he's been around long enough now, but center field.
Mays?
Mays.
Yeah, it's got to be
Mays
Mays.
156.1. He just destroyed.
Yep, that fits.
You can also get the current one.
Trout?
Trout.
Yeah.
He's already at 87.5. Hopefully he doesn't keep getting negative WAR and stuff. Hopefully he can keep healthy.
Yeah, or lose a season next year.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's another thing. Hopefully he can kick butt this year somehow and get closer to that 100 number. Right field, super easy.
Don't say that because I'm not going to get it.
Okay, the King of War, period.
Oh, Babe Ruth?
Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
So Babe Ruth, 182.5. No one will ever even come close to that. Active.
Mm.
And he's moved around a bit, so it's a little confusing, but Mookie Betts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fits. Now an infielder, but
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why it's a little DH.
David Ortiz?
Nope.
No kidding. Edgar Martinez?
Edgar Martinez. Yeah, 68.4 to 55.3. So they're the two big ones, but
Yep.
Edgar's got him by
Still,
quite a bit.
yeah, I was going to say it's still a pretty good gap there between
Pretty
one
big
and two.
gap. Yeah. Pitcher.
Man,
I knew this one, but there's another caveat that's fun to talk about here after we talk about this.
a couple guys I'm thinking of, but I don't know if they're like
Massive. No one will ever touch this guy's WAR.
we got maybe it's way back like Cy Young or
Okay, that's
Walter
the caveat
Johnson.
guy. That's the caveat guy, but not the guy.
Walter Johnson.
Walter Johnson. 164.8 as a pitcher.
That's a record that'll never be topped. Yep.
It'll never be topped. Pretty easy current guy.
Oh, Verlander?
Verlander, yeah.
Yeah.
He's at 82.2, so he's in that Trout kind of
Wow.
territory, But okay, so the caveat is, as a pitcher only, Cy Young would have the WAR.
Huh.
But Walter Johnson added 12.8 WAR as a hitter. He was a really good hitter. So 12.8 of his WAR is actually from the hitting side, whereas Cy Young had a negative hitting WAR. So if it was just based on the pitching side, Cy would have just nipped him. But
Love
they
it.
go by the player, like Ohtani or anybody. It's
Right.
Ruth. Both sides of the WAR count for the highest at the position. But yeah,
Man,
Cy, if it was just pitching,
160 plus. Whew.
yeah, we're talking major WAR with Bonds, Ruth, and those two guys.
Even if Trout had stayed on it healthy and like on his first 10-year pace, I don't think he would have got to 160. That is insane.
No. That's what's so crazy. And Bonds in the 160s and Ruth in 180 makes sense because no one was even. I mean, he was hitting more home runs than other teams. So I mean,
Right.
wins above replacement. I don't even know how you can calculate it. Plus, being a super dominant pitcher until he stopped. Imagine if he'd have kept pitching and hitting. I don't know. It would just be insane. But that is the trivia portion. We've gone to 5 questions. We've gone to trivia. We've gone to shout out. Now is just these 5 random cards from our collections. I am cheating a bit here because the first four are actually 2 cards apiece, and I didn't plan that. It's just the way it came out. I didn't buy a lot of 25 product. I didn't like the design of tops, and I don't bust wax anyways really anymore. 24 I was a big fan of, but still didn't like open a lot of packs. The holiday product in 24 was way too busy and crazy, and I didn't like it. But we did open some of those calendars and stuff for Christmas. So I do like the holiday on the 25s. 26, I'm still a little undecided about what I think about
Same.
that
Yeah.
design. But I did get the in the calendars they had the green plaid was the exclusive parallel, and I do like the way these came out. So there's Shohei the pitcher,
Oh, nice.
and there's the back, and there's Shohei the hitter.
Perfect.
I, yeah, I thought these came out really nice. I like them. Good
Love that pick.
design, and they got the 2 different numbers. One's 200 and one's number 1. But I like the design they did with these. It's pretty clean. Little snowflake in the background. Nothing too crazy like 24. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, there's the 2 different. I like the way they went home and road with the jerseys.
Yep.
That kind of thing. So it's a twofer, but
I'm a
it's
big
cool.
fan of that pair. Just first year that he got both the pitching and a hitting card with LA because he only had a hitting card in 2024. And then when you look at what he did last season, and maybe the greatest single game in postseason history, like there's something special about having a 2025 Shohei pair like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I picked those as my first choice.
All right. Well, since my last question was about the Astrodome, I figured I would do an Astros card to lead off, and it's a buyback. I've never shown this one before. I just plucked it out of the hoard that I have here, but it's the J.R. Richard 1979 highlights card, and it's the 2015 Topps original buyback. You can see the stamps in a great spot there up in the dark area at the top of the photo.
Perfect placement.
Yeah, just somebody we've talked about before, I think even on this collab, but just like one of the ultimate like what if cases in the history of baseball. I love the Tequila Sunrise like warm up jacket there, like just
Yes.
really awesome record breaker card here. And this was he set the record for strikeouts by a right-hander in the season prior. So love those league leaders and kind of record breaker cards. And when you can find one in buyback format like that, it's pretty cool. That was like a $2 pickup, but great card.
Yeah, some of those are bargains. But yeah, if he's not the biggest what if in sports history, he's one of them. It could have been just complete domination for so long.
Agreed.
I remember that one time I got real lucky to play golf with Alan Ashby, who was the catcher back then, and super guy. And man, what a golfer! But one of the funnest things I had talked to him about was Ryan, and he said, "Well, look, JR was just a ridiculous level when he was going. It was just like, yeah,
Yep.
he was almost hard to catch. He was throwing so hard, so nasty. Who knows what would have happened if that stroke hadn't happened? But yeah,
Yeah, I heard you talk about it recently, but it's amazing to think that what could have been. It could have been him, Nolan Ryan, and Mike Scott all on the same rotation there for the Astros. And oof.
yes, things might have been different, Mookie, but well, we couldn't hit. We put all our prioritization on pitching in the dome, so we should have had a couple more hitters, and we'd have been okay. But it was
Hindsight. Yep.
it was all pitching then. Yeah. Next thing, of course, I love 84 Donruss and Nolan Ryan. So these are Donruss in 2018. They did retro cards. There's the backs. They did just black and white. But they did the 84 Donruss style, and they did some image variations on them, which they did with Ryan. So they're both with New York, but they did image variations. So there's 2 different Ryans. So you got 2 different colors at the bottom, 2 different, obviously, completely different photos here. But
very cool.
And they did a lot of parallels and colored borders and stuff. But I wanted them to look like 84 Donruss, so I bought just the base white border, just to look like that. I got both the Ryan versions, but super
those
cheap.
Those displayed perfectly with your custom photo card that you just did recently
exactly.
too. Yep.
Exactly, same scenario. But these are supposedly Mets with no logo. But yeah, just super cool cards for cheap, just neat stuff to just kind of bring me back to the 84, even though of course Ryan had 84 Donruss card, but just cool to see anything in that. I have to pick it up.
To me, it's one of the top, it's in my top 3 sets of the 1980s. And like very early on when I got back into collecting as an adult, I picked up the complete set in a binder at the hobby shop, and I still have it on the bookshelf over here because it's just there's
The
like not a bad card in that set.
the cards are beautiful. The photography is just so awesome.
All right, my second one is Juan Soto card, but it's a little bit different. So this is his 2019 Topps issue. So this is one of my favorite cards of his, just because I love the Rookie Cup and I love the image on this card. Like they just killed it with the framing here and the extended bat, and I think it really works well with the 2019 design. What's cool about this one though, if you see the logo right above his name, this is actually an Utz snack card. So they make, I don't know if they have those in your region, Utz, but they make like chips and pretzels and those kind of snacks, at least here in the Northeast. And they did a promotion back in 2019 where you could pull Topps baseball cards from your Utz, snack products, which I think it was just so cool. They're actually kind of hard to come by. This is not like a valuable card, but it's probably like a $20 to $25 card, whereas the base version of this is like 50 cents or something like that. So they're a little bit scarce, but it's more just fun. Like I kind of love the throwback to like, it reminds me of the golden era, at least for me in my childhood of collecting, like in the 80s where you could get cards in anything or anywhere. Yes. And now I feel like the hobby's kind of expanding in a way that's maybe not as cool as this, where it's just more about there being a million different confusing parallels and things like that. But I love, this is from the pre-COVID era, before things really broke out and went crazy the following year. And I just love that it's a card that you could go to the supermarket, throw a bag of chips into your cart, come home, and you could pull a Juan Soto Rookie Cup card out of your chip bag. So,
dude, I'm a huge fan of food issues, and that may be one of the last ones ever.
Yeah, you just don't hear it anymore. So,
why is it naked?
Oh, it was right before I showed it in front of the camera, just to try to keep the glare down.
Me, man. I'm like, this thing.
Yeah, no. It'll go into a holder as soon as we're done, and it was in a penny sleeve right before this. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I love food issues, man. Yeah, we don't have those here, unfortunately, but I love that kind of stuff. Next up, oddball stuff, hand cut. I love doing hand cut stuff myself nowadays, and the Investor's Journal has some fantastic stuff. Here's one with the black border. The backs are like this, just simple stuff, but the 1992 Investor's Journal has the black and gold, and they did different parallels with different colors, but there's the Griffey. But I thought it was cool because you remember the card with Griffey and his dad and his brother, all that kind of stuff. But there's a solo Craig Griffey card in there.
That is awesome.
So you get both the brothers. Of course, we know which one went on to do great things and which one didn't. But would have been cool to see two brothers dominate at the same time. But at least we got to see him play with his dad and stuff. But Craig, for whatever reason, didn't go far. But yeah, I just love having these cards together because. There you go, both with the Mariners, and just
that is awesome.
What could have been.
I love a good pair of cards, and when you can find a pair like that, it really elevates each of them even more so than they would be if they were just on their own. That's killer.
I completely agree.
I got one vintage card here. This is one that I picked up years back during like a Black Friday sale on ComC. And I don't know what its fate's going to be. It's a player that I really like, but it's the 59 Topps Roger Maris, and I only bought this because I was kind of plodding away at a 59 Topps set, which I still have in a binder. I'm like 3/4 of the way there. I have half the high numbers, and I'm just at a point in my collecting where I'm not a set collecting guy. So this might find its way to eBay at some point. It's actually in really good shape, other than being a little bit OC left to right. But yeah, most of the Maris stuff that I have that I'd actually be interested in keeping is directly related to the home run race and all of those seasons. So I'm not as into just his random stuff from the 50s, but it's a cool card. I ran across it in a box when I was kind of rifling around trying to find stuff for the show. And it's just been sitting there like waiting to be processed since I bought it in like probably 2018 over the Black Friday event at ComC. So.
Well, me and our friend Peeps love a good swing finish photo. So that one
it is a great photo, and the color is awesome too. I mean that kind of like burnt sienna or orange color there with, and of course you have that awesome like elephant logo there for the A's down in the lower corner. So it's a beautiful card, but it was really a means to an end of trying to complete my 59 Topps set, and I just don't think I'm ever going to spend the funds or the time to really hunt down the rest of those. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll sell the whole thing as a starter set on eBay at some point. But
yeah, exactly. Speaking of pairs, my fourth is another pair. Um, so this will be unconventional, but 1993, another movie of mine,
Nice.
Jurassic Park. So this is 93. There's the back. So this is card number 3 with the T-Rex there. But in 2018, they do these Throwback Thursday cards for Tops. And this was a Tops card, but they did Throwback Thursdays with all kinds of random stuff that they've made over the years. And there's 2 there.
Nice.
So they brought back the old Jurassic Park 1993 design for some baseball cards, and the backs are similar as well on these. There was different types of backs in this set, so I picked one that would be the same type of back. But Throwback Thursday for the win. I love these kind of things when they call back to other stuff we may have collected. I mean, they do like 60s Hot Wheels. I mean, all kinds of crazy cards that they've made
Oh
before.
yeah.
It's really, really cool. I showed that 85 Topps football Nolan Ryan the other day.
I
I
used
really like that stuff, but this is a cool pair.
I used to buy a lot of Throwback Thursday. Yeah, they did so many great things over the years. But that one really resonates with me because in the same way that like Return of the Jedi was up there, like Jurassic Park is to this day like a top 10 favorite movie. I probably rewatch that like once every year or two, the original, the first
And
movie.
yeah, I was going to say in that case, the first one's the best.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, my fourth one here of 5 is actually a ballpark card, which is appropriate for our show and because we spent so much time talking about the Astrodome. But when I was growing up, other than the Red Sox, like the part of baseball history that I was really fascinated with was the Brooklyn Dodgers. And I always like thought to myself, if I could get in a time machine and go back to some point in history, I would love for it to be like a Brooklyn Dodgers game on a nice day in like the early 50s, just sitting in the stands and like soaking it all up. And in 2010, in the regular Topps flagship set, they did a subset called Franchise History, and they showed a random image or something from each team's past. And for the Dodgers, they did an Ebbets Field card. So it's a 2010 Topps flagship card, part of the normal set, but it features Ebbets Field. And I managed to find a couple of years ago the Topps Black parallel, which is a favorite of mine. So this is, the numbered Topps Black. I think it's to like, I forget what it was this year, 55, 57,
Wow.
something like that. But yeah, just a really, really cool shot there of a place that I wish I would have been able to see back in the day. I can only imagine how cool it would have been to take in a game there. So
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool card.
awesome. I'm a big fan of ballparks. That project that Adam was talking about, Pinson to Flood for the win, Adam. About he's working with Saber now to do that archive for all of the
Yes.
ballparks. That's good work right there.
Yep.
That's worthwhile stuff, man. I love it. I love that. And the blacks those are super hard cards. Once again, you have a naked card there, scaring me to death. But yeah,
Yeah, these are all in cases. I'm just trying to keep the glare down. So yeah.
I know.
All is well. All is well here.
Last one I'm showing, once again, not a lot of money, but there's a lot of things of Griffey that are super expensive, that are shiny and fancy and all that kind of stuff. But some of them are super cheap. This one I love the color match, the die cut, the shine, the stippling. I think they did this just completely right. I think this says 2013, but it's a cut to the chase insert, and it's just beautiful. It's just,
Oh, awesome. I
it's just
remember those.
ridiculous.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many, and to find all of this clean is tough, but I mean, there's so many different facets to this card. It's got the stippling in the background. It's got the refractor. It's got the teal and the blue as a double color match. But yeah, I actually have a bunch of cards from this set. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Put it in a binder, do something with it. But the Griffey, man, that thing is just awesome. Great photo. But it's super expensive looking card for not much.
I was just about to say, like during that era, they would put that level of effort into something that would just be a regular insert. And like nowadays, it seems like they save that for something that's a case hit or low numbered or impossible to pull. And it's really refreshing to see a card that looks that nice that was just an insert.
Yeah, they don't go through this effort anymore. They really don't. But the super, super cool card for not much money at all.
Love that. All right. Well, this one is my last one here is fitting for both of us because it's a player that we both liked growing up and still enjoy collecting today. But it also has a reference indirectly to Nolan Ryan as well. So this is from the Upper Deck Baseball Heroes release that came out in 2005. They did these throwback on-card autos, and each player got 5 cards on the checklist. 4 of them would look like this, and they would be depicting a feat or an achievement from their career, and then the 5th one would be like an illustrated card, like Upper Deck was known for back in the early '90s. So I completed the 5 card run of Will Clark in these Emerald Autos,
Nice.
number to 99. But this one is the one that I chose to show, and I've never shown it on my own channel, and it's a little hard to make out here. But what it says in the upper corner is hits homer in first at bat.
First at bat.
And as you know well, that home run came off, one of the best pitchers of the era, the great Nolan Ryan. And that was always a factoid that I loved about Will Clark as a kid, because I independently started collecting both Nolan Ryan and Will Clark before I knew that was the case.
Me too.
And I remember finding that out and just like mind being blown that that was his first home run. So I figured that was a very appropriate card for ball card banter.
For sure. What is the number 2 on the front there?
So these emeralds are numbered to 99.
Okay.
All the autographs are on card, which is killer. It's a 100-card checklist, 20 players, 5 cards each, so 100 cards total. And there weren't a ton of parallels. So this emerald is like the most prevalent at 99. There's also, I think, a red and a blue. They may be like 20 and 10 or something like that. So
those are beautiful. I mean, can you beat that Baseball Heroes design? That's just the most nostalgic thing.
I'm a total sucker. At one point, I had aspirations to complete the 100-card set. I probably have about 40 or 45 of them, but unlike the 1959 top set build that I talked about, I can't just get rid of those or give up on them yet. So they're kind of just sitting there, and maybe I'll find some others in the future. But I do have the Will Clark run complete, all 5 of his cards.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I know there's some Cal cards in that set.
Yep. And, there's some big names. And
awesome.
Believe it or not, some of the toughest ones that I don't have are guys like Don Mattingly, like just highly collected. They're not Hall of Famers, but they're highly collected, and like competing against some of their player collectors is just impossible. So
it's impossible. It really is, but they're really cool, man. Those super cool cards. They bring back a lot of memories from the Nolan Ryan originals and all that kind of stuff.
Upper Deck did a great job in 2005 with those, and it's just another example of something we seem to talk about every episode, which is how much we miss Upper Deck baseball. But they had a lot of old timers on the checklist too, so like Yogi Berra and Brooks Robinson, and then some active greats as well, or recently retired greats. So.
Yeah, and to get those on card before any of those guys passed and stuff, I mean, it's just super, super awesome.
Yep. What
an awesome set. Well, this has been super fun.
Absolutely. We'll try not to make it so long between now and the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, we try, guys. Trust us. Just schedules being what they are. But yeah, Shane's probably going to be flying out in 5 minutes after we click off here. So just thank you, Shane, for making the time to do this. It's just one of the funnest things I do. So
same.
This is super, super awesome. But thank you, everybody out there, for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you soon doing this thing again, and I appreciate it. And until next time.